A quiet South Carolina street erupted into chaos when two imposters in tactical vests, backed by HOA President Patricia Lockwood, tried to detain a homeowner, only to learn he wasn't just any resident, but an FBI agent they never should have messed with. It was a quiet Saturday morning in Greenville, South Carolina, the kind of morning where families mow their lawns, kids ride their bikes, and the world feels still. Maxwell Stone, a black man, stepped out of his single-story brick home, trash bag in hand, thinking of nothing more than getting his morning chores done. But he only made it a few steps before he stopped. At the edge of his driveway stood three figures. Two men in black tactical-style vests, and between them, Patricia Lockwood, the Homeowners Association president. Their vests had patches stitched across them that read community enforcement. Their stance was rigid, almost rehearsed. But to Maxwell, who'd spent his career reading people, the whole act already looked wrong. Their boots were scuffed, straps dangling loose, their faces too eager for confrontation. Patricia's voice rang sharp. "Mr. Stone, we need to talk." Maxwell set the trash down, resting his hands calmly on his hips. "About what?" Maxwell asked. One of the men stepped forward. Tall, pale, shaved head, mirrored sunglasses hiding his eyes. "Community enforcement," he said flatly. "You're in violation of neighborhood regulations. We're here to detain you until police arrive." The words dropped heavy. "Detain me?" Maxwell echoed, his tone low, almost amused. Patricia folded her arms tightly. "You've ignored repeated notices. This has gone too far. We can't have someone undermining our community rules. These men are here to make sure you comply." Maxwell's gaze moved from her to the two so-called officers. His voice was calm but edged with steel. "And what exactly are the charges?" The second man, shorter, broad-shouldered, with a scruffy beard, pulled a folded paper from his vest. "Property violations, non-compliance with HOA orders, unauthorized modifications to your driveway, loud gatherings, the list goes on." Maxwell almost laughed. "So you think that gives you the right to walk onto my property, and what did you call it? Detain me?" The tall one's jaw tightened. "That's right. You can come peacefully, or we'll make it harder." For a moment, the air seemed to freeze. Curtains shifted in nearby houses. Neighbors were watching. Phones were probably already recording. Maxwell's voice cut through the silence. "There is no such thing as community enforcement. You're not police. You have no authority here, and right now you're trespassing." Patricia's cheeks flushed red. "Don't talk to me about authority, Maxwell. We've had real complaints, and I'm not about to let this neighborhood fall apart because of you." Maxwell didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. His words landed like a warning as he said, "You've picked the wrong driveway today." The taller man took a bold step forward, boots scraping against the concrete. "Sir, don't make this difficult," he said, voice rigid. "You're being non-compliant. That means we have the right to escalate." Maxwell's mouth curved, almost a smirk. "Escalate? You're standing on my property with no badge, no legal authority, and no idea how deep in trouble you already are. You've got 30 seconds to back off before you regret this stunt." Patricia snapped toward him, irritation flaring. "You think threats make this better? You've ignored letters, warnings, fines. The HOA exists to keep this neighborhood safe and respectable. People like you." She stopped herself mid-sentence, her lips pressing tight as though she'd nearly revealed too much. "Have you ever seen someone twist a position of power, not to protect a community, but to control it?" Before we dive further into this story, tell us, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. We love seeing it. And if you believe no one should ever be allowed to abuse authority for personal bias, hit that like button and subscribe to Story Arc, because real leadership is about service, not control. Maxwell noticed immediately, his eyes narrowing. "People like me, huh? Be careful how you finish that thought, Patricia." The bearded man shifted. "Look, this doesn't need to get ugly. Just come with us. We'll wait for the officers. Clear it up. Maybe they go easy." "Officers?" Maxwell asked flatly. Funny choice of words, because the only so-called officers I see here are you two clowns in knockoff vests pretending to have authority. The tall one stiffened. His partner glanced at Patricia, uneasy. She doubled down. "These men are authorized by the HOA board to ensure compliance. We don't have to answer to you." Maxwell chuckled softly. "Listen to yourself. You brought two grown men in bargain bin tactical gear to enforce rules. That's not how the law works. The audience around them was growing. Maxwell lowered his voice for the imposters, but loud enough for the block. You want real authority? It's training. It's law. It's accountability. And the real cops will be very interested in this little performance. A pulse of doubt flashed across the tall man's face, but he pushed forward until he was inches from Maxwell. If you resist, we'll restrain you. Don't test me. I've dealt with cartel enforcers less reckless than you, Maxwell said calmly. Move back before this becomes something you can't walk away from. Patricia tried to rally. Why should the rest of us live by the rules while you do whatever you want? We have a system, Maxwell. We have order. If you won't respect it, maybe you don't belong here. Respect isn't forced with fake cops and threats, he replied, gaze fixed on her. It's earned, and this isn't about rules, it's about control. That line carried down the block like a verdict. Neighbors nodded. The bearded man wiped sweat from his brow. Maybe we should wait in the street, he muttered. No, the tall one hissed. We're not leaving. From the sidewalk, a teenager lifted his phone higher. Maxwell recognized him, Victor Tyler from a few houses down. Yo, Mr. Stone, I got you on live. Thousands are watching. The tall imposter snapped his head toward the kid. Put that down, he barked, taking a step his way. Wrong move. Maxwell shifted instantly, cutting his body between the man and the teen. His voice turned cold. You even think about touching that kid. This ends right here. The imposter froze. This is a neighborhood matter, Patricia barked, voice pitching up. None of you should be interfering. A woman with a baby on her hip called from a porch. Neighborhood matter? Looks like harassment to me. More voices chimed in. This is wrong. Where'd you even find these guys? You can't arrest your neighbor for cutting grass too short. Maxwell let the noise settle, then spoke just enough to carry. Patricia, do you hear them? This isn't order. It's chaos, and you created it. You're twisting this, she shot back, but the tremor in her voice gave her away. You and your kind have always been a problem, bending the rules, ignoring the standards we built. Maxwell's head tilted, his eyes narrowing. My kind? He repeated, voice low but razor-edged. The problem is you confuse control with leadership. They're not the same, Maxwell said. Then another wave of murmurs. The bearded imposter leaned toward his partner. We should go. No, we finished this, the tall one said, trying to puff himself larger. He bent low, voice dropping to a threat. Last chance. Come with us, or we use force. Maxwell almost laughed. You really want to try that in front of every witness on this street, with a dozen cameras pointed at you? Go ahead. Show the world who you really are. The tall man's eyes darted to the glowing screens, the staring faces, the kids still streaming live. The weight of the street pressed in. He clenched his jaw, and instead of backing down, he reached into his vest, pulling out a pair of cheap metal cuffs. He snapped them together with a metallic clink. You're under neighborhood arrest. Gasps tore through the crowd. Maxwell didn't flinch. His voice dropped into that razor-sharp tone honed from years of federal interrogations. If you even think about putting those cuffs on me, that's a felony. Impersonating an officer. Unlawful restraint. Prison time. Justin's hand trembled. His partner Austin whispered, panic, cracking his voice. Justin, this is insane. We'll get locked up ourselves. But Patricia barked, desperate to save face. Do it. Show him who's in charge. That was the breaking point. Pride overpowered reason. Justin lunged, but Maxwell moved faster. In one fluid blur, a sidestep, a twist, a snap. Gasps became shouts as the cuffs Justin had raised in threat were now locked on his own wrists. The crowd exploded. Someone screamed, "Did you see that?" A teenager shouted, "He flipped it on him." Maxwell stood over Justin, calm and unshaken, his voice cutting through the uproar. You're done. Don't resist. It only gets worse from here. Patricia's face drained of color. You can't arrest him, she screeched. Maxwell's reply was cold enough to silence her. You're right, I can't, but I can detain him until the real law arrives. Austin stumbled back a few steps, both hands lifted in surrender, fear written all over his face. I'm out. I'm done, he blurted, his voice breaking with raw fear. I never signed up for this. Lady, you never told us he was law enforcement. Maxwell's reply cut like steel, calm but undeniable. That's because she didn't know. Patricia blinked, her confidence faltering, caught completely off guard. What are you talking about? Maxwell adjusted his hold on Justin with one hand, steady and unshaken. With the other, he reached into his back pocket and drew out a worn leather wallet. In one fluid motion, he flipped it open for all to see. The gold badge caught the sunlight, gleaming under the dozens of phone cameras aimed at him. "I'm Special Agent Maxwell Stone," he declared, his voice carrying across the block. "Federal Bureau of Investigation." The words hit harder than any shove or threat. Neighbors gasped and silence fell, the kind of silence that meant everything had just changed. The man they thought was just another homeowner had just revealed himself as a federal agent. Maxwell's eyes never left Patricia, his voice calm but unyielding. "You came onto my property with imposters. You thought intimidation would give you control. But you didn't do your homework. You had no idea who you were dealing with." Patricia opened her mouth to fire back, but before she could, the wail of real sirens rolled down the block. Blue and red lights cut through the silence. As a patrol car pulled up, two officers stepped out fast, hands hovering near their holsters, eyes locked on the scene. A man cuffed on the driveway, another tearing off a vest, and a neighborhood crowd pressing closer with cameras raised. The tension was knife-sharp. Maxwell didn't rush. He stood tall, adjusting his grip on Justin's cuffed wrists, then slowly raised his other hand, the leather wallet unfolding with deliberate calm. The gold badge caught the sunlight, flashing like a verdict. "Officers," he began, his voice steady, commanding, the kind of tone that carried authority without needing to shout. "Special Agent Maxwell Stone, FBI." The block went still. Even the murmurs of the neighbors died out. He let the weight of the badge sink in before continuing, each word measured. "The man in my custody attempted to impersonate law enforcement. He trespassed on my property, tried to place me under a fake arrest, and then assaulted me in front of dozens of witnesses." He turned his head slightly, gesturing to the phones raised on every porch and sidewalk. "Every second of it was recorded. You won't be short of evidence." The officers exchanged a quick look, then nodded. Respect flickered across their faces. Justin was hauled up, still cuffed, but this time the cuffs were official. Austin tore off his vest, tossing it aside like it was poison. "I'm out. I'll cooperate," he muttered. And then all eyes turned to Patricia. The